Hey there, it's BoardGameDave. So this past weekend, I was at PAX Unplugged 2022. It was incredible. It was my second time at PAX Unplugged and my third board game convention overall. I was absolutely ecstatic the whole time I was there. I was just absolutely overjoyed and I loved every single minute of it. And I figured today I'd tell you all about PAX and we'll talk about the games that I played and the people that I met, and then just my overall experience and takeaways from the convention. So this year at PAX, I got to play 15 different games, 7 of which were brand new games that came out in 2022, 3 of which were new to me, and 5 old favorites. Let's start by talking about the games that were brand new this year. First, I was taught Framework by the crew at Boardvengers. This is a new Uwe Rosenberg game. It's a tile placement game where you're putting out these picture frames. I don't know, the theme is like absolutely not there, but you're putting out these frame tiles and also putting out scoring tiles, and some of them are scoring tiles and frame tiles, and you just put them adjacent to each other and you're trying to complete the objectives printed on the tiles. Super simple, great game. I won the game, by the way, and it was great. Next, we were also taught Marvel Dice Throne Scarlet Witch versus Thor versus Loki versus Spider-Man, which is a real mouthful of a game name, but I was Spider-Man and I was rolling dice, kind of Yahtzee style, keeping some dice, rolling more dice, trying to get these combos, and I was playing against my one of my best friends, Connor, who was, I don't know who he was, but we were playing this game, and our HPs were going really down, and he was down to 1, I was down to 1 and he had just a few left, and it was like my last turn and I rolled and I got him out, and I did not think I was gonna like this game. It's certainly not my standard type of game, but I gotta say, I kind of really enjoyed it. I am certainly branching out of my shell. I'm emerging, metamorphizing into this beautiful omni gamer of a butterfly, apparently. So yeah, Marvel Dice Throne, was kind of into it. Next, I played Dandelions with my friend Marcus, who, by the way, Marcus is an old buddy from college, and we hadn't seen or kept up with each other in 10 years, so it was really cool to reconnect with an old college friend. But anyway, he taught me Dandelions, really cute game. You roll like 11 dice. It's for 2 to 3 players, by the way. And you pick a die, and the number of pips tells you how many spaces to move your token around the petals of the dandelion, and you leave your die there and you score for area majorities and stuff on each petal. It's really simple, but there's some really interesting design nuances. Really like this game. It was awesome. So Marcus, thank you for teaching me that game. Next, I played Joan of Arc, the Orléans Draw and Write, and I really like Orléans. It's one of my favorite games, probably my top 50 at least. And in that game, you draw these workers out of a bag, and then you use those workers to kind of activate things on your player board. So in this game, you draw players +1 tokens, and then you draft them and activate things on your board. The only catch or caveat I would say is that we played at 5 players and we were all kind of learning the game, and it was just really, really long. Like, it went over 2 hours, which at a convention is a lot of time, precious time at a convention. And yeah, just a ton of downtime between players. Like, I would take my turn and then, oh boy, sit around for a while. So I don't think it shines at 5 players, but I'm sure at 2 and 3, it would be a great game. Next, I got the chance to preview a game called Pompero with Edward from the podcast Heavy Cardboard, who was kind enough to teach 4 of us how to play this game, which isn't even out yet, but the game's all about building wind farms and developing an electric grid in Uruguay. So it's a relatively heavy Euro game, and on your turns, you'll be building power grids and windmills and moving your bulldozer around to different sectors and completing contracts with neighboring countries, all that kind of heavy Euro goodness, and it was great. Didn't get a chance to finish the game, although we almost did, and I would say that it was pretty good. I wasn't floored by it, but I was, impressed with a lot of the elements, so pretty good game. Next was a really silly game called Nacho Pile from Pandasaurus Games, and the best part of this game was the packaging. So the game literally comes in like a potato chip bag with the seal closed, lip, and that's the game. So you open it up and the whole game is drafting or pulling these chip tiles from the bag and trying to get these numbers without busting, and scoring them by putting them on your plate. And that's Nacho Piles. Kind of cute, kind of silly, kind of goofy, but really cute packaging. And finally, the last new game from 2022, which was actually not new to me, was Splendor Duel. Of course, an amazing, brilliant game. I love Splendor and I love Splendor Duel. I just posted a solo playthrough on my channel, and I'll have a review of Splendor Duel coming very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. And now let's talk about 3 games that aren't new, but were new to me that I got to play this year at PAX, starting with Stockpile, which I played with my friends Gary and Connor and Nick and Mike from the Brothers Murph, who were so funny and so just fun to be around, just like they seem on YouTube. It was really great getting to play Stockpile with all of you. And Stockpile is a stock market trading game where you kind of collect stocks and do some insider trading to make stocks go up and down, and sometimes they bust and sometimes they boom, and it's great. It's a really solid stock market trading game. Next, I got to play Deadwood 1876 with Gary and Connor and some of the guys from the Secret Cabal podcast, and I thought it was pretty good. I'm not usually a fan of games where you're like super antagonistic and making pacts and huddling in the saloon together and then having a duel and kicking somebody out and then making pacts with other players and then, you know, robbing each other's safes and shooting each other and looking at other people's safes and trying to figure out who's doing what and all that jazz. But I really liked actually this mechanic where toward the end of the game, only one location is safe, kind of, basically, but like 2 to 3 players are usually going to be like making it to the final round, and then that final round is just like a free-for-all shootout, basically, among those players. So it was kind of interesting, and I won that game, which is really bizarre, but that was Deadwood 1876. And the last game I played at PAX Unplugged, which was new to me, but certainly not new by any means, was Dungeons and Dragons. I know, me, you know, a textbook Euro gamer was playing Dungeons and Dragons. There was a learn to play thing, like, I don't know, like 5 times a day where you could go just to this room and learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons with other people who are trying to learn. And I really went out of my comfort zone and said, I'm gonna go and do this Dungeons and Dragons thing. Of course, I have these really nice metal dice from Kapana, and basically I'm always looking for any excuse to use those dice. So I went there with my dice, and a really, really wonderful fellow Dave was the dungeon master, and there were some of us who had played before and some of us who hadn't, and we did this really short mini scenario, and I got to kill a zombie with my crossbow. I was a fighter named Tycho, and yeah, it was interesting. I liked that I got my toes wet with D&D, although yeah, I guess finding a group that I would really click with, I think that would be the hard part, but I'm really glad I tried it. And finally, like I said, I got to play 5 old favorites. I played For Sale with my friend Megan from Instagram and her mom, which was really sweet. I played in the Castles of Burgundy tournament, and I did terribly. I played Scout 4 times with different groups, and that was super, super fun. I love that small little game. I played Crokinole a whole bunch. That game, oh man, I played it last year at PAX too, but I really enjoyed it and was getting pretty good at Crokinole. And then finally, the last game I played at PAX was a Feast for Odin with my friend again, Marcus, who I got to teach the game to, and of course, Feast for Odin was a great, great game. Perhaps still my #1 game of all time, maybe. But beyond all of the amazing games that I got to play this weekend, my favorite part of PAX Unplugged by far was all the amazing people that I got to spend time with. Old friends like Gary and Connor and Faye and Beth and Marcus, of course, but also just all the content creators that I got to meet this weekend. It was just extraordinary. There were people I got to reconnect with, people I've met at PAX last year or at the World Series of Board Gaming. It was so, so amazing. I love spending time with people who are passionate about board games and are using their platform to share their love and passion for board games with other people. I love it so much. Every day, actually, I was bumping into so many people and connecting with so many people that I was keeping a running tab on my phone, and then eventually I lost track because there were so many people I was meeting. But some of the highlights include meeting Monique from Before You Play. She actually saw me before I even entered the convention hall out on the street, and she was like, Dave, and I was like, Monique. It was so cool. She was off to do something else, so we reconnected later, but that was incredible. Getting to play a game with Mike and Nick from Brothers Murph was really extraordinary, of course. There was Paula Deming, there was Matthew Jude. I finally got to meet Jeff and Jamie from Foster the Meeple. That was such a wonderful interaction. They are such kind people. I loved that so much. From Dice Tower, there was Roy Kennedy, there was Tom Vassell, there was Zeke Garcia, Chris Yee, of course. I got to hang out with Professor Meg, and Alex Radcliffe and I spent a lot of time together, which was amazing. I got to meet Lewis from Lamp Games in person. That was so wonderful. I finally got to meet my arch nemesis, Mike from Board Games for One. That was so incredible. I wish we could have spent more time together, Mike, but that was really, really wonderful. I got to hang out with Taylor from Taylor's Trick-Taking Table, and I love spending time with Taylor. He is such an amazing guy. I met Marcus from Mac and Games on Instagram, and I met some of his friends, and we played Scout together. It was really, really great. But possibly the highlight of my entire weekend was meeting Rodney Smith, guys, from Watch It Play. I did not know he was going to be there, and when I saw him, it was like, oh, he's really here. I mean, he is a legend in the board game space, obviously, and he is just as kind and bubbly and enthusiastic in real life as he is on YouTube, and I just loved getting to hang out with the guy, and he was so friendly and so nice. He was like a beacon of just positivity and optimism and passion for the hobby, and he spent so much time talking to Taylor and me, and was just the kindest person, and was very encouraging and very, again, just optimistic about things. And I loved hearing about how he got into the board game space and making content, and he wanted to know about my story, and it was just incredible. Such a wonderful guy, and I loved it. It was just amazing. But everybody that I met at PAX and got to spend time with was just so wonderful, so kind, so encouraging, so welcoming into the board game hobby content creator space. It's just amazing. I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it many, many more times, but board game people are the nicest people. I mean, really, it has just been evidenced so many times at conventions, at meetups. I mean, we love people that love board games. We really do. And if you're looking for a community or a group of people to share a hobby with, board game people love welcoming new people into our circle. So I loved PAX. I loved being there and playing games and hanging out with people and walking around the vendor booths and the new exhibitions and the first look area. And it was just, everything was just magnificent. I love PAX. It is my favorite convention, although I have very little experience, but I am going to go to PAX every year unless some kind of act of God prevents me from going. So it's just the best thing ever. And the people there were incredible. So thank you so much. If I got to see you at PAX, I know there were more people I could talk about, Claudia and Dominica and your daughters and everyone I got to play games with. It was just amazing, but I could just go on and on and on. So I'll just leave it there and say that PAX was amazing. I loved it. Yeah, if you haven't gotten a chance to attend, go check it out for next year. PAX Unplugged 2023. It's in December. It's just an incredible time. And I've been rambling on and on, so I will let you all go, but let me know in the comments if you have a memory from PAX Unplugged or if you have another convention that you really enjoyed and think I should check out. But in the meantime, I'll let you go. Have a wonderful week. Take care and happy gaming. Bye. Nick, by the way, of course, I have beef with you because he didn't want to use my iron clays for stockpile and was making some really rude comments about iron clays, which I didn't appreciate, found very disturbing. Love Splendor Duel. I just posted a, of course, that game is one of my